There's no doubt about it. We fear rain. We wear our trench coats, our umbrellas and all that to avoid getting hit by some lousy droplets of water. But what is it that makes us fear it? It's not something we learn. It's something deep that resonates within us. An unexplainable repulsion towards getting ourselves wet during a downpour. It's not a learnt fear. It's instinctive. Instinct. A small word for such a huge idea. I've lived in the countryside for about 4 months now, and am now back in the city. The neighbours used to tell me to nail the windows shut for about 2 or 3 weeks right after I started living there. But it was the beginning of summer, and with all the heat of the sun, I wasn't going to do something as stupid as that. At least, I thought it was stupid. You know that smell? The one that rises just before the rain starts falling on you? In the city, people will always say it's the smell of water dirt, or the dirt getting wet, or bacteria and the plants receiving the rain. But those people have never been in the country. They haven't the faintest idea. You see, the cities, the huge metropolis, hasn't always been there. Mankind has been living in nature far longer than it's been living in the cities. That is why we still have the instincts to fear the rain. It's not the smell of earth, dirt, bacteria, plants. It's their smell. They come out in the rain, and they seek to mate. But they cannot hold their own, for they must retreat hastily as soon as the rains give in, and the water stops. But I didn't nail my window shut, and as soon as the rain came, I started hearing it. Have you ever heard that tiny, almost unnoticeable hum or high pitch that TVs make when they are turned on? Have you ever felt a pressure on your chest when a low-pitched beat is heard? Those are the things that fill the air. That smell, those moans, high and low, thumping moans. It's a smell they follow. I came home a bit wet, for the rain started on my way home. I started hearing those noises sometime after I entered my house. Then the scratching on my door began. I went to check it through the window. What I saw was horrible. What first looked like a giant worm was in fact a humanoid thing, with its lower body being one long leg or tail. Its small, atrophied arms were strong enough to allow them to crawl or slither, and its face, it looked like it had been petrified. The only thing that looked like it was in use was its nose. It moved, and as soon as I got close to the window, its face shifted towards me. The window was slightly open, and now I know. It turned because it could smell me. It moved towards the window, but it wasn't strong enough to pull itself up inside, and I had enough time to close the window. Soon enough, it turned, trying to sense the smell, my odour, and after a while, more came. From the hills came an entire legion of those things, 300, 400 maybe. Thoughts of monkeys running up towards high rocks and climbing trees came to mind. These are the things we feared since the dawn of time. After a while, the macabre sight became something I couldn't stand. The noise was so much I couldn't sleep, and the things were so ugly and disgusting. Yet I couldn't stop watching. Soon, I saw the old stray dog that always wandered around. It was a dirty dog, must have been about 15 years old. Too old to run, too old to live. They grabbed hold of his paws. 1, 2, 3, 5. The dog started howling and tried to bite one, then the other. Soon they overpowered the poor animal, and then it happened. From their chest came out a sting. 1, 2, 3, 5. They all started stinging the poor beast. After that, they all turned to see towards the east. Then they started crawling, as fast as they could, towards the plains. They disappeared as fast as they came. The dog lay motionless. It seemed like parts of him breathed. At intervals, parts of his body pulsated. Then suddenly, the dog jumped up and looked renewed. It started running like it was a young pup. Then it went running towards the plains and disappeared from my sight. When morning broke, I took nails and wood planks and nailed my window shut. Not even one hole was left. I even checked for other holes in the walls, the door. God, I was starting to get paranoid. I left the house to get some groceries from the neighbours. They had their own farm and a lot of things for sale. But we're talking farms here. The distance I had to travel was about a mile or two to their house. When I got there, black menacing clouds were near. The neighbours were cold and quick. They gave me eggs, milk, some honey, and meat, but told me if I wanted to live, I should stay for the night. I remembered the last night, but I still hadn't made the connection of rain and monsters, so I declined the offer and hurried back, while the farmer behind me yelled I should stay if I valued my life. The rain started midway towards my house. I was wet within 10 seconds of rain. It was a real downpour. I felt the smell of rain once more, and then I heard the sounds once again. The high-pitched noise, the low thumping. I wet my pants when I saw the first of those things crawling towards me, its nose like a black eye moving towards me. I dropped what I was carrying and ran for my life. Even though they crawled, they were pretty fast. I was beginning to lose my breath, when suddenly, once again, the image of monkeys climbing trees came to me. I remembered it could not lift itself through my window. I realised that I had small hope for surviving this, but at least I had some hope. While I was running, I turned to see left and right. All I needed was something above the ground, something that they couldn't climb up to. The farmer's barn. I could see he'd left his old wood ladder on the side of it. All I had to do was set it up, climb it, and then raise it so they could not follow. It was heavier than I thought, but I was truly terrified of what would happen if I didn't raise it. When I had put it in place, one of those things, faster than those of its kind, tried to stab me with his sting. I could see it like it was in slow motion. I grabbed the thing with both hands, while the thing kept trying to nail me with it. An egg came out of it. While I tried to keep it away from me, I pushed the thing to the side, and the egg fell to the ground. It started to move and pulsate. But then it stopped. The exterior turned to stone. As soon as that happened, I heard the clamour of those things, stronger and more penetrating than ever. I saw the one thing which had tried to stab me was now writhing, like it was in pain. I didn't hesitate for 1 minute. I felt rage within me, so I started to kick it and I stomped its head in. I ran up the ladder and raised it towards me, up on the barn's roof. I don't know how I managed to, but I fell asleep. The next morning I was woken by the farmer's wife yelling at me. She kept asking why I was there. I put the ladder and went down. I found a stone ball and the skeleton of a dog with its skull bashed in. Why had I never seen these things until now? Why did this happen only in a place like this? It all came to me. The egg, the rain, the smell of wet people. What about those flashes in my mind? Those memories of a time long gone? The people around here, the environment around here. It's all very much like the one it was some thousands of years ago. The only thing around here that has changed are the houses. It's the only new thing. And those memories of the past came to me because of this thing. This primal fear. We've been running from the rain and water for so long. Even when we were undeveloped chimps, we ran from it. And we ran from the ground as well. I left that place as quickly as I could. I only spent one more night in those plains. I heard those screams and thumps. This time, they came from my house, and my aroma alone. I had killed one of their eggs. I knew it was because of this. How else could one explain all the ruckus that happened when the infected dog dropped the egg? They beat on the door and slammed their bodies against it. They kept moaning and scratching, hitting and weeping, smelling my fear. However, the rain stopped quickly and they ran away. I'm recording this now because I'm scared of them. I came back to the city, but maybe I should have let them take me. Instead, I've brought this plague with me, back to the city. They're on the other side of my door and it's raining outside. It has been for a long time. Because even now, even though we don't know about them, deep inside, we still fear them. Oh God, the rain won't stop. It's been 3 days and I'm beginning to lose it. They claw at the door. I don't know how much more it will resist. They're taking it down. They can smell my feet.